All right, welcome to the Lead Magnet webinar. I am really excited about this free training. Lead magnets are one of my favorite things to chat about. We're going to give everybody a minute to get here just because you know how tech is. So we want to give everybody a minute to get logged in, get to their computers. If you could say hi in the chat. The chat makes a huge difference. It's really lonely over here. Just talking into a camera. So I can't see you all, obviously. So it really helps if the chat is active. If you have questions, drop it in the chat. But right now, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. People joining us from all over the place: Southeast Alaska, the Netherlands. That's awesome. California, North Carolina. Love that. Memphis, Denver, West Palm Beach. That's awesome. But keeping the chat active really helps. If you can let me know too, if you can hear me and see me okay. And if at any point you can't hear me, post something in the chat, let me know. But if other people are saying they can hear me, oftentimes the computer, it's just an issue with the browser. So just refresh. That fixes most issues. If you have a question during the webinar, be sure to drop it in the chat. We are going to do a Q&A here in just a little bit, and I want to make sure that I answer your question. If you see your question disappear, don't worry. Krista's here hanging out with us as well, and she's making sure that all the questions get recorded so that I can answer those at the end of this training. So let me just double check the chat here, make sure everybody can hear me. All right, looks like we are good to go. All right, somebody else here from Virginia. Awesome. Welcome. So let's chat. Let me get back to my slides here. We have a lot to cover today, so I want to just dive in. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the introduction here. But before we get started, we do have a giveaway. All right, so this is a pretty awesome giveaway. You can win a free year of Show It and BDOW. And all you have to do is go on to Instagram, post a story, and tag both Show It and our new BDOW account. All right. Our new BDOW account is at Try BDOW. A member of our team is going to be monitoring those. And towards the end of this training, we will pick a winner. All right. So all you have to do is go on Instagram stories, post a story, tag at Show It, tag at Try BDOW, and you'll be eligible to win a free year of Show It and BDOW. If you've never heard of BDOW, BDOW is a lead generation tool. It's designed to help you build a bigger list faster. I'm going to share some of the features of BDOW here throughout this training and how we use BDOW to build our list. But the point of BDOW is to help you build your list, get more people on it, get more subscribers, target people on your site with relevant messages to increase engagement. Highly recommend that you check it out. And then many of you probably are familiar with Show It. Show It is our very favorite website platform. Drag and drop builder gives you all the creative freedom that you wish other website platforms gave you. All right. So you have an opportunity to win both a year of Show It and BDOW. All you have to do, post a story, tag Try BDOW, tag at Show It, let people know that you're attending this free training. Yes, if you love Show It, if you love BDOW, drop some love for those platforms in the chat here. So let's get going. A little bit about me. I am Davey Jones. I'm the CEO of BDOW. I have founded a few agencies several years ago now. I launched a brand and website design agency with my wife, Krista. She's here in the chat. If you have a question, she's a great person to ask. And in the last several years, we have sold more than 8,000 website templates. That's actually, I think, a dated number at this point. I think it's well more than that. We've worked with over 700 design clients. We've added more than 70,000 people to our email list, and that's just the Davey and Krista email list. That doesn't count any of the other businesses that I've been involved in. And I have managed over millions of dollars in ad spend because a few years after starting Davey and Krista, I started another agency called the Till Agency. And the Till Agency is still running. I stepped away from that to run the business that I'm running now, which is BDOW, the lead generation tool. But while I was with Till Agency, we ran ads for a number of businesses in the creative industry. that you're probably familiar with, from Flowdesk to Dipsado to CloudSpot to Showit, a number of creative educators as well. We managed a lot of money in ad spend. And the cool thing about this experience was that we noticed a number of similarities between businesses that were doing really well and businesses that weren't. And guess what? The ones that were doing well had a system for lead generation. They had a way to reach people and get those people on some sort of list. And those email subscribers are the reason that they did so consistently well. Those email subscribers are the reason why we're able to sell so many website templates and work with so many different clients. It brings consistency into your business because you no longer have to guess at where your next client or sale is coming from. We did all of this without a very big social media following. Don't get me wrong, we're at nearly 30,000 over at Davey and Krista now. It's grown a lot in the last year or so. But our top post is, I don't know, 300,000 views or something like that. Relative to what many consider viral, not that viral. And that only happened earlier this year. Our second most viral reel ever was this dinosaur reel about my son and his love of dinosaurs. And you could probably guess it didn't sell a lot of website templates. If you are entering the giveaway for BDOW and show it by tagging us in a story, you'll notice that the BDOW account doesn't have a lot of social media followers either. If you're wondering if we have some sort of secret following over on TikTok, no, we don't have a following over at TikTok. Krista jokes that she doesn't know the login. It might not be a joke. Maybe she doesn't actually know the login. But the point is that these are just a few examples of how we were able to build a successful business without having to go viral every single week or without having to become social media influencers. I don't love social media. All right. And there's a reason I don't love social media that I'll get into in a minute here. That said, I think social media is important. So I want to mention that. But we have been able to grow our business and keep sales and inquiries steadily coming in because of our email list. Lots of people have been talking about how to build the email list. What I really want to focus on today is, why you should build your email list. I really want to focus on how you should build your email list. And that's what I'm going to dive into as I share more about the lead magnet playbook. So the truth is, when we first started our business, we only collected emails in the footer of our website. Maybe you right now do something like this. All right, this is a screenshot of, I think, one of our first websites. I'm pretty sure that next to nobody joined using this form, except maybe some spam subscribers. I'm pretty sure our parents didn't even join. Because really, why would anybody opt in for more generic email? People want to know what they're going to get out of it. So, how do we go from 0 signups to consistent growth in our email? Everything shifted a few years in, maybe a year in or so, year and a half or so. We started taking our email list seriously. We heard over and over again that things like the money is in the list and that people's email list was their most valuable asset. And what I'm going to dive into today is how we did that. Real quick, before we get started, so you know who is showing up in the chat here, this is my family. I've got 2 sons, Jack and Bennett, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. That's my wife, Krista. Many of you might know Krista, but she's going to be in the chat helping answer your questions. But really grateful for Krista because Krista is one of the reasons that we've been able to build such a big email list. And because we've built such a big email list, it's brought a lot of freedom into our lives. So we're able to live in the place we want to live. We're able to work from our home. We're able to take off the days that we want to take off. So if you're also tired of just shouting into the void, all right, wondering if anybody on social media is hearing you, you're going to want to listen up and pay attention to what I'm about to share. So this class is for you if you need to grow your email list. You're just not sure how to do it. You're maybe posting consistently on social media, but feeling like those followers are not turning into leads, or you're interested in taking that social media following and actually getting them on your email list. Or you just want to create a consistent sales channel that'll help you keep up with the rising cost of everything these days. Or if you want to scale your business and take it to the next level, but you don't have any more time to give it. All right. If any of those are the reasons that you're here, you are in the right place. One of the things that I want to be clear about, though, is that this is not going to be an easy fix that requires no work. I absolutely disdain it when people get up and they act as if, oh, if you just snap your fingers in a certain way, then all of a sudden life and business is going to get super easy. So, what I'm going to share with you is very simple. Building your list is very simple, but that doesn't mean it won't require some effort and work. And I want to be upfront about that. So, if you're just looking for a hack or some sort of special code that's going to unlock your business, this is not the class for you. But if you stick around till the end, we are going to provide you, just for showing up to this webinar, with our Show It lead magnet landing page. All right, this is a template that you can plug straight into your Show It account if you're using Show It, and you can get started with it right away. This is based on some of our highest performing landing pages. And again, you'll get a share key. You can put that in your Show It account and you can customize it for your very next lead magnet. Now, if you don't use Show It, highly recommend that you check out Show It. But that's okay. You'll still get the design. You can just take that design and build it in whatever website platform that you currently use. And if you don't currently use Show It, enter the giveaway. All you have to do, post on stories that you're attending this class, that you need to tag Try BDOW and Show It, and you could win a free year of both platforms. And that's just for sticking around until the end. I'm also going to do a live question and answer at the end of this class. So if you have questions, pop them in the chat. My team's going to flag those as I'm teaching. If you see it disappear, it didn't actually disappear. It just went into the question queue. So ask questions as I teach. Now, I'm not going to answer most of those questions as I teach because I have a lot of content to get through and I want to get through it. I want to respect your time, but I will make sure that I get to your questions at the end. So right now, drop into chat. What is the most challenging part about building a lead magnet? All right. And if you haven't built a lead magnet or you haven't attempted to build a lead magnet, why? What's the most challenging aspect of building your email list? I want to know. Drop that in the chat here. I am going to take a sip of water. All right, something interesting enough for potential clients, coming up with something. Quite a few people saying something along the lines of ideas or too many ideas. I struggle with that too. Chris will tell you I have a lot of ideas. All right. And they go in the idea bin, which is like a holding place for them so that I don't overwhelm Krista. Deciding what content will attract the right buyer, coming up with what to give away that people actually want. These are awesome. All right, this is great. I'm excited about these questions and these challenges because this is what we're getting into today. All right. So, first thing I want to talk about before I get to step one here is who is your ideal client? I'm not going to take up too much of your time here talking about ideal clients because I think this conversation is often overdone. But recognizing your ideal client is super important, absolutely crucial to what it is that you're doing. Here's one of my favorite examples, all right, of somebody who has, I think, just really nailed their niche. One of my favorite businesses that we collaborated with while I was running Till Agency, the advertising agency, was Petite Power. It's run by this woman, April Whitney. You can see here in the hero spot of her website. And without me even telling you, you can see from the hero spot of her website that she works with women who are 5'4" and shorter. Talk about a niche. You know immediately landing on her website whether she is for you or not. And the clarity is essential, right? Because while I'm neither a woman nor shorter than 5'4", I'm sure if I went to April and I was like, hey, I need some fitness and nutrition advice, she could help me, right? My guess is that she knows enough that she could actually help me and I could get real results from her. And so there might be a temptation for her to be like, oh yeah, well, I'll broaden my niche to also include you. But by narrowing her focus, April effectively tracks those who resonate with her services. And because the people who land on her website know immediately whether she is for her or not, it makes it much more likely that they will actually purchase whatever it is that Whitney is selling. All right. Now, another example, this, on the other hand, it very much speaks to the season of life that I'm in right now. There are all sorts of uh, things about this message that resonate with me. So, in this season of life, being a dad, young kids, I want to be able to spend time with them, but I don't want to have to spend countless hours in the gym. But I do want to stay fit and active. So, when I land a website like this, Dad Unit, I immediately think, oh, there might be something here. Plus, there's accountability and community with other men who are dads. So I'm comparing myself with people who are like me. And guess what? People are going to always be more willing to spend more money with businesses that they feel like specialize in them. We're going to talk more about that in a minute here. But Dad Unit is a great example. I'm willing to spend thousands of dollars to be part of this program, even though previously I was using an app that just cost me a few dollars a month. Why? Because this site has nailed their niche. And I know that other dads like me are going to get results. So you need to be able to clearly answer this question. I help someone do something so they can benefit in some way. If you can't answer that clearly, I encourage you to spend some time filling in the blanks and getting specific. If you're a website designer, everyone might need a website. But if you try to market to everyone, you're not going to truly connect with anyone. And that's why niching down is so powerful. It allows you to show the next person how you've gotten results for someone who is just like them. Because guess what? Everyone thinks that their needs are unique and special. So this is something that we talk a lot about here at BDOW, within Show It, over at Davey and Krista, and then even at Till Agency. We call this the trust gap. The trust gap is the space between somebody first learning about you and being willing to pull out their wallet and actually pay for your product or service. So our job as a business is to bridge the trust gap. One of the first questions people are going to ask is, but can you really do that for someone like me? Yeah, you might be like a professional bodybuilder that knows a lot about fitness and nutrition, but I'm just a dad which with average athleticism. All right, maybe a little more than average athleticism. I'll give myself that. What do you think, Krista? Let us know in the chat. Anyway, a lead magnet is one of the best ways, or one of the most effective things that you can use to give people a glimpse of whether you can answer that question, whether you really can get results for someone like them. It gives people a chance to experience your expertise, your process, and your results before they commit. So you want your lead magnet to demonstrate that you really can do something like that for someone like whoever your ideal client is. You might be the best physical trainer in the world and work with movie stars, but can your techniques really work for me? You might be a super talented website designer, but do you know the specific needs of my business website? You need to be able to answer that question. So, step one, what problem will you solve? If you have an idea for a lead magnet, drop it in the comments. We can start talking about those. And start by thinking about the kinds of problems that you can solve with a lead magnet. Go back to your ideal client statement. I help someone do something so that they can benefit. A lead magnet is simply taking a small slice of that promise. You don't have to solve the entire problem. It just needs to address one specific aspect of that problem. So think of it as a smaller related issue that gives your audience a taste of the transformation that you can provide. A lead magnet is proof that you can deliver results. So one of the best ways to prove that you can deliver results is simply by doing some of the work. This is especially true if you're just starting out and you don't have a large portfolio or a steady stream of clients. When we were at Till Agency, I used this approach a lot. We would research the kinds of clients we wanted to work with. We often looked for clients or potential clients who were already running ads, because then we didn't have to convince them that running ads was a good thing. And then we put together a short funnel audit. We'd analyze their ads, their landing page, the product they were selling, and we record a quick 5-minute Loom video with our thoughts. Sometimes, in addition to that Loom video, we'd even send over some sample creative that they could use. And we'd make sure that we wrote a unique email, something that didn't feel canned. And we'd say something like, hey, we love what you're doing. We noticed that you're doing X, Y, and Z. Have you considered trying this also? And here's some creative that you can use in your next campaign. If you talk a little bit more, if you want to talk a little bit more about how to implement these ideas, we'd love to chat. Now, a lot of people didn't respond, but some did. And of those who did, many booked calls, and that resulted in thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars of revenue for the ad agency. And you might be thinking like, oh, well, you gave them the creative and you gave them the strategy in the lead magnet. I mean, sorry, in the Loom video. Didn't you give away too much? No. And the truth is, you really can't give away too much. People got a taste of the strategy and then they got the creative. But the thing about Facebook ads is that you have to constantly be testing new creative. So if that worked for them, so if they tried that before talking to us and that worked for them, then we're just proving that we know what we're doing. All right. So you can take the same approach for leads you're already talking with, people you're getting on the phone with. Just do a little bit of the work in advance. Or if you want to get on the phone with somebody and maybe they're not responding to your emails, do a little bit of the work in advance and show them what you can do. All right. Even that small effort builds a lot of trust. So if you're still brainstorming lead magnet ideas, think about what would help your audience see the answer clearly. Ask yourself, what small, valuable thing could I create that demonstrates my expertise, solves one of their problems, and shows them the kinds of results they can expect from working with us? Now, few places that you can start, few just like practical places you can start. You can start by looking at micro highlights from your client experience. What I mean by this, ask yourself, what are the moments where clients are like, wow, this is awesome. All right, you nailed this. Those little moments can make great lead magnets. One of the things we noticed in our website design process, or rather our brand design process, was people really just liked going through the brand questionnaire. All right, after they went through the brand questionnaire, which no brand design had been done at that point, they'd be like, oh, I feel a lot of clarity from having gone through this. So I'm going to talk about that more here in a second and how we use that. Another place to look is the most common questions you hear from clients or prospects. If one person has that question, oftentimes others have that question too. It makes the perfect topic for a lead magnet. And if you don't have clients, you can still gather insights by checking out industry Facebook groups. Show It has a Facebook user group. They have a community for designers. You probably have heard of this small site called Reddit. All right. People ask questions there, and it's a good sense, or it gives you a good idea of what kinds of questions people are asking about a given topic. You can also think about what most people get wrong about your area of expertise, and then create a lead magnet debunking, whatever it is that people typically get wrong. People love to get curious about those things. All right. Or, if you want to, or you could talk about what results in success for your clients. Home builders do these 3 things on their website to book more high-end clients, something like that. Home builders would get very curious about what those 3 things are. So you want, whatever it is, you want your lead magnet you want to be able to fill in this blank for your lead magnet. My lead magnet helps my ideal customer solve this specific problem so they can achieve this specific benefit. Very similar to that fill in the blank for your ideal client. So that's the foundation there. Your lead magnet isn't just content. It should be treated as a tool that directly connects your audience's problems to the outcome they want. If you can articulate that sentence clearly, you have a good starting point. So step 1, simply deciding what kind of lead magnet you might want to create. We're not building anything yet, and that's important to remember. All right. At this stage, the focus is just on clarity and direction. We're not producing anything. Step 2, the medium matters. This is something I've changed my mind on in the past few years. But how we package our lead magnet matters a lot. All right. So the way your lead magnet is presented can make a big difference in how people perceive it and how it's received. And so what I'm going to do in this section here is I'm going to walk you through just a couple different types of lead magnets and share the pros and cons of each. There's some formats that I really like. There's some that I don't like as much. But the key takeaway is this: all of these formats can work. All right. So it's not really about the medium too much. An ebook can be just as effective as an online quiz. It just all depends on how well it serves your audience. All right. Here's my first list. I'm going to take a quick, I know I talk quickly, so no worries. There will be a replay. So if you're missing some stuff, that's okay. There will be a replay. So let's talk a couple different types of lead magnets: ebooks, gated blog content, checklists, and guides. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love I don't love these formats. All right. In my opinion, here in the 2020s, all right, as we approach the 2030s, they often feel low value. When I see the word guide, my first thought is that it's going to take a lot of time and effort to get through. I download plenty of resources like guides, and I never actually consume them. And usually it's because they come as long PDFs that feel overwhelming. That said, it doesn't mean that these lead magnets can't work. If they clearly answer the right question for your audience and deliver real value, they can still be effective. I think it just takes extra care to make sure that they're engaging and easy to use. This is a case in point here. This is a screenshot of one of our lead magnets to Davey and Krista. It's a guide with 101 of our favorite color palette combinations. It's an ebook. Interestingly enough, it's one of our best performing lead magnets. What we've learned over at Davey and Krista is that people love content around color, so we create a lot of it. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I don't love guides or ebooks, but this checks a lot of the boxes of a rubric that we use when evaluating lead magnets. So you can use this rubric as you create your lead magnet. First, does it qualify the lead? In other words, is the person downloading this guide also somebody who would be interested in our products or services? So you could give away a free iPad, but somebody who's interested in a free iPad doesn't mean that they're also going to be interested in your brand design services. So you want to make sure that you're qualifying the visitor. Second, does it establish your expertise? A lead magnet should position you as someone who knows what they're talking about. Here's the more important part. More information doesn't equal more expertise. This is like the key mistake that I made when I was getting started was I thought if I made a course, it should have 100 hours of lessons. Or if I made a lead magnet or ebook rather, it should be 50, 100 pages long. But here's the thing. Nobody's thinking like when they have a problem, they're thinking, I want a simple solution. So if you can deliver the answer in a page, that ebook is more valuable to somebody than a 50-page ebook. So you want to make sure that you fall into the category of real expert, and real experts are the ones who can take something complicated and make it feel simple. That leads to the third point. Does it provide a quick win? The fastest way to build trust is to give somebody a result right away. And when lead magnets deliver a quick win, it builds confidence and increases the perceived value of your products and services. So let's go back to our list of lead magnets. Beyond guides, there's plenty of other options. So we got email courses, mini courses, tutorials, online quizzes, webinars, live trainings like these. Each of these can be effective. I like these formats a little bit more because I think they tend to feel less overwhelming to consume. They're a little bit easier to consume. Take an email course, for instance. You sign up each day, you get a quick focused email that you can skim and put into practice. That's why I love like 5-day email challenges or 5-day challenges that are delivered via email. So that's pretty easy. People usually stick with it. On the other hand, something like a live training can be a bit more challenging to keep people's attention. All right. It's pretty easy to get people to register for a live training, a little bit harder to get people to actually show up. All right. And then, of course, you have to engage them throughout the entire live training. I hope I'm doing a good job of that now. But the advantage, though, is that live trainings, email courses, they often build trust a little bit more quickly because it's an opportunity to actually interact with the business or the brand. Of course, tutorials, mini courses, similar bite-sized trainings can be great tools as well. The key is to make sure they're simple and actionable, same as an ebook. All right, so this is my absolute 100% favorite type of lead magnet. And it's my favorite type of lead magnet because I think they're the most effective. I also think they're the easiest to create. So that's win-win right there. And that's templates. All right. Templates can take many forms, social media templates, brand questionnaires, mood boards, anything that gives your audience a ready-made starting point. Why do I love templates so much? Because consuming the template leads to a win. All right. The template is the tool that leads to a win. You don't have to read an ebook and then put all of that stuff into practice. You just complete the template. So it's often the shortest path between it's often the shortest path to a quick win for people. You see, I'm getting really, really excited about this. For example, Davey and Krista, we've taken tools that we already use in our client process and created lead magnets out of them. What you are looking at right now is our SEO content brief. This still lives on our website somewhere. Maybe Krista can find the link and post it. But this is the exact template that I would use to put together optimized content briefs for my one-on-one SEO clients way back when I was working with people one-on-one for SEO. And basically what I do is this is like an optimized outline of the content. I deliver this to our client. Our client would take this and create that content on their site. And it was one of those things where clients loved it. Why? Because it was simple, easy to follow. They understood exactly what to do. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, like, isn't this the thing you're delivering? Like, why would you give this away? Well, the thing is that one, it still takes some expertise to fill this out well. All right. So it's not just about having the template. That said, I did record a Loom video that goes with this. So if you download this, you also get the Loom video. But, it still takes some expertise to do this. But really, I'm just trying to prove my expertise. The people who are going to do this on their own, the DIYers, they are DIYers. All right. And they're probably not going to make good clients. What I want are the people who understand the value of something like this, but also don't want to do it on their own. But here's the best part. Like, how easy is it to create something like this? How long do you think it took me to create this? As long as it took me to hit duplicate in Google Docs. Of course, yeah, I had to put together a landing page. We're going to get to all of that. But to actually create the lead magnet, it was super simple. And it was also something that I knew people already liked. Here's templates, the ideas for templates with BDOW, for instance. You can create templates out of the pop-ups and forms that you create, and you can share those with others just with a share key. You can do the same thing with Showit. That's why I love platforms like Showit and BDOW. You can create templates in there, generate a share key, and then you can use that as your lead magnet. All right. Seamless, practical, gives your audience an immediate result. So this example in BDOW here. And so this is Elizabeth Cravey. She provides this is one of her lead magnets, a free BDOW form template. So matches the template that she's selling in her template shop. So I left a few different types of lead magnets off the list here. So things like discount coupons, online quizzes, case studies, ROI calculators. I really like all of these. All right. I think that these are important types of lead magnets to push people over the finish line. But a discount code is generally not going to be super helpful if somebody doesn't know really who you are yet. All right. Helps get people over the finish line. Doesn't move the needle in terms of like awareness as much. But tools like ROI calculators, they can be super helpful, especially if you have a service that costs thousands of dollars. You can use an ROI calculator to show how much more return somebody is going to get on that investment. Case studies. One of the reasons that I didn't include case studies in templates, even though I really like case studies, is that you can never overdo case studies. I would be careful about gating case studies as well. I think you should do both. If you have case studies you keep behind some sort of lead wall, all right, some sort of form that people have to complete, that's great. But case studies really should be all over your site as well, all right? You should be showing people how you've gotten results for people like them. So the key here, we've just demonstrated that pretty much any type of lead magnet can work. The key is to choose a format that's congruent with the problem you're solving. And what I mean is you have a problem. There are probably whatever your problem is, like for instance, if it's really technical problem, you don't want to give them IKEA directions. You've been there, right? Putting together IKEA furniture, it's like it's just black and white on a piece of paper, no text. And you're just like, I can't, how do I know which screw to use? You don't want to do that. You want to record a YouTube video and demonstrate how to get whatever that technical problem is solved. All right. That's a solution that's congruent with the problem. All right. The key is don't overcomplicate it. The goal is to make your lead magnet easy to consume and relevant. Step 3, ask yourself, how can we validate this idea before launching? How can you validate your idea? How can you make sure your idea is actually going to work before you spend all the time creating it? Notice that we still haven't built anything yet. And the reason being is because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did when I was first getting started and occasionally still make now, which is this. Oh, I have this great idea for a lead magnet. I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours creating it only to launch it and realize people actually didn't like that idea. There are ways that you can figure out whether people like an idea before you ever launch it. One of the easiest ways is just to figure out what's doing it well organically. I'd say a lot of our best performing lead magnets came from just paying attention to what was doing well organically on social media. So for us at Davey and Krista, we noticed that posts about brand colors and color theory always seem to do well. Excuse me. It made sense for us to create lead magnets around brand colors. Same thing with fonts. And I already showed you our fonts ebook. AI, of course, has been getting a lot of attention recently too. So we have some lead magnets around AI. You can test existing content with ManyChat. So, for example, when we post a blog on Instagram, we'll often set up an automation with ManyChat. If you know what ManyChat is, let us know in the comments here. All right. Yeah. So let us know in the comments here. And ManyChat is one of our favorite tools. And one of the reasons ManyChat is one of our favorite tools is because it allows us to test content easily. We're basically, if you've been on Instagram and you've ever seen somebody say, DM me this phrase or comment this phrase, and you will get XYZ. That is usually a automation set up in a tool like ManyChat. And this approach does two things. It generates more leads, all right? Because oftentimes, even when we share blog posts, we'll say, hey, comment blog to get the link to the blog post. And then we'll say, hey, what email address can we send the blog post to? All right. So it gets us more leads, but it also shows us which topics people are actually interested in. Like, what are people interested in enough to click off of Instagram and go to that content? That's a great signal that that content might be worth turning into a lead magnet. What does your audience say they want? One of the simple things you do is poll your audience. You can, if your audience is small and you're worried about sample size, you can look at what others are polling as well, or you can check out what conversations are happening in places like Reddit or Facebook communities. But the key here is not to focus too much on like, oh, well, I only got one or two responses. Like, that's awesome. You got one or two responses. Like, a real person is asking for content around a specific topic. Create for that one person. I recently did this with a question we were getting about how to create an evergreen funnel. And so what did I do? It was just one person, but I had a sense that other people were interested in this topic as well. And so I created a quick YouTube video around how to create an evergreen funnel. And guess what? That one video has generated many more leads than just delivering value for that one person. You can also tease resources before you actually build them. So you can mention the idea. There's actually a another fitness app that I follow that did this recently, and what they did is they said, "Hey, tell us what your goal is now, and we'll deliver a lead magnet at the end of the week along the lines of that goal." And it's genius, right? Because what they're trying to figure out is what lead magnet should they create? Should they create a lead magnet around fat loss or muscle building or both? So you can say, hey, listen, I'm sharing how I've generated 1,000 leads over the last 2 weeks. And if you're interested, drop this into the comments or whatever, or drop your email and I'll deliver it to you when you're ready. And guess what? If no one drops their email address, you don't have to create it. And even if just a few people drop their email address, you still don't have to create it if you feel like it's no longer worth your time. But it's a great way to validate an idea. our free branding questionnaire. This is based on a lot of the questions that people ask us about our branding process. One of the things we noticed is that this is one of the wow moments. People would complete the brand questionnaire and they'd be like, oh, so much clarity now. Like that was great. Like I really just liked that activity. And so one of the things that we did was we just took our brand questionnaire and we turned it into a lead magnet. And we knew it works because we use it. All right. We knew it worked because we got feedback about it. And it was already created. So we don't have to do the additional work of creating this template. And so even if it did flop, there's not really much more work than, okay, we had to create a landing page for it. All right. But we hadn't spent a ton of time creating the lead magnet before we actually validated the idea. That brings me to step 4, and we're almost done here. So hang with me. It's to build your landing page. You might be saying, like, David, we still haven't built the lead magnet. And that's right. We still haven't built the lead magnet because this ties into the idea that we were just talking about, validating the idea. But more than that, I like to build the landing page before I create the lead magnet because as I'm thinking about how I'm going to market and the messaging around the lead magnet, I want to understand those things before I build the lead magnet. For instance, oftentimes I'm building the landing page and I'm like, I want to use a certain marketing line. And I'm like, oh, that would be good to add to the actual lead magnet itself. Or maybe it gives me an idea for an even better lead magnet. All right. So that's one of the advantages of building your landing page first. The other thing that you can do is you can tease the lead magnet. So if you built the landing page, you haven't built the actual lead magnet yet, you can say, hey, listen, you'll be the first to receive this when it's ready. All right. So you can get people there, validate the idea, and then you can automate an email. So instead of delivering the lead magnet because it's not ready yet, you could deliver an email that says something like, hey, we're going to send this over to you as soon as it's ready. Help us out by dropping one question about this topic that you want answered. And that's a great way to start building engagement in your email campaign. The more responses you get, the more likely it is that future emails are going to end up in people's primary inbox anyway. So it achieves a lot for you. One of the things, going back to ManyChat here, one of the things that you can do as well is that you can skip the landing page altogether. So if you're like, I'm not very techie and that's the part I get stuck on is actually building landing pages, then just use ManyChat. With ManyChat, you can set up an automation so that when somebody comments or DMs you, they get a message. In that message, you can ask for their email address and then you can integrate that with your email marketing provider. So the email gets sent off to Kit or Flowdesk or whatever email marketing platform you're using, and then you can deliver the download. Again, easy way to validate the idea and get something up quickly. All right. So we're trying to eliminate the time between idea and execution. If you are building a landing page, though, I want to give you some tips here. One, simple designs are best. Forget the navigation. You don't want to give people an out. You want to provide a clear, benefit focused headline. The message here between the headlines is that what you're about to download is a simple way to start making money with pattern design. And then below that, you saw a little bit of social proof. If you scroll down the page a little bit more, you see some details on what you're going to get. You'll notice that these details don't say a 38,000 page ebook. It says you're going to learn how to set and achieve your goals, how to develop your signature style. So all of these are benefits, all right, actual outcomes for the person downloading the guide. And again, here she is talking about connecting the action of downloading with realizing your dream of starting a pattern design side hustle. And then she turns her attention to what is probably the most common objection, and that's that getting started with pattern design is overwhelming. And then she ends here with some FAQs. FAQs, I think, are a sales page and landing page superpower. It's one of the best ways to respond to objections. All right. And so to create effective FAQs, simply come up with a list of objections that somebody might have, before buying or downloading or, whatever it is that you're trying to get people to convert on, and then turn them into FAQs. One nitpick here. All right. And I know this landing page is doing well. So, it's very minor, but is that she could probably incorporate a little bit more social proof. All right. She could probably incorporate a little bit more social proof. Here is a way that you can include social proof that catches somebody's attention and also slides in subtly. This is what we call a scroll box over at BDOW. And it slides in from the side of the screen. You can have it display whatever you want, but in this case, it displays a testimonial. Simple way to reinforce credibility without being disruptive or interrupting somebody's scroll. So if you don't like pop-ups, this is a great happy medium. All right. So subtle touches like this help keep your brand trustworthy. This is another great example of a social proof pop-up. And I don't know if you can see it, but in the bottom right-hand corner, I think let me see if I can. Here, we'll try that. That might be better here. In the bottom right-hand corner is a small social proof pop-up. So tools, again, like BDOW, make this easy. And what this does is it rotates through a list of people who are taking the desired action on your website. All right. And so that way others can see that other real people are doing the thing that you want people to do. Amy and Jordan, just in general, they do a great job with social proof. And if as you scroll down their sales page, you can't help but think to yourself, like, there is no possible way I could not get results from that. All right. And here's the thing about social proof is that it can cover a multitude of weaknesses on a landing page. I don't know about you, but if I see a Facebook or Instagram ad and it has 300 comments and all the comments are positive, it doesn't really care. Like if I'm interested in that product, it doesn't really matter to me how pretty the landing page is or what other elements are on the landing page. It's like, well, it worked for 300 other people like me. It's probably going to work for me too. So with tools like BDOW, you can incorporate social proof pop-ups and other dynamic elements on your website that engage people and then also help build trust. Step 5. This is the last step. All right. We've talked about a lot, but this is the most important part. And this is how to get at people to actually sign up for your lead magnet. Here's the key takeaway, just the key takeaway in general. Like if you remember nothing else, remember this. Share about your lead magnet everywhere, every day. The biggest mistake I see is that people spend more time creating their lead magnet than promoting it. And this is part of the reason why I used Amy and Jordan as an example earlier, because when you go to their website, you cannot miss their lead magnet, which is their free training. And the reason is simple, because if you go through that free class, you're much more likely to purchase one of their paid courses. So once you have a lead magnet, you want to make sure that it's everywhere, because once people sign up, you now have their email address and maybe even their phone number too, and you can follow up emails and texts about your products. But you want to make sure that your lead magnet isn't just in a pop-up. It's not just in the footer of your website, but it's in a place that people can't miss. And then when they go somewhere else, it's there too. If you don't have a lot of traffic yet, one of the best strategies is to create partner content. And there's a number of tactics within this strategy as well. But this is a way to get you in front of new audiences. And these are great tactics, even if you have a big audience and you want to get in front of new audiences. You probably have friends in the industry or complementary industries. Everybody is in an industry where there's other products and services that they can benefit from. So for instance, as a website designer, Krista benefits from people also working with talented copywriters. All right. Copy is going to make for a great website. So she could reach out to industry friends who are copywriters and ask to do some sort of guest content piece on their blog or on their YouTube channel or on a live, and then have some sort of guide or freebie to offer in that content that can get people on her list and following her. That's one way to do it. You could just create content for partners. For instance, you can take one of these tactics, the success story, industry expert, or the roundup post. The success story and industry expert are similar. If you've experienced success using somebody's tools. So for instance, if you've used Showit, if you built a Showit website and then you booked your highest paying client, like if you share about that online, Showit, it will be very likely to reshare that post. Why? Because businesses are always looking for social proof of their own. So it's a win-win. It gets you in front of a large audience, and then it's content that they can show off as well. I can tell you this much: when people post positively about BDOW, we reshare it. All right. The industry expert, becoming an expert in a platform. This is, I think you could find them around all sorts of different platforms. The most obvious, again, because it's top of mind, is Show It. If you're a Show It website designer and you specialize in that platform, then people who want Show It websites are more likely to trust you. Also, you can create a lot of content around that platform that if you share on YouTube or wherever, makes it more likely that that business that you're built on is also going to share it. So those are a few different approaches, especially around the holidays or Black Friday. If you write a roundup post and you feature different businesses, it's very likely that those businesses are going to reshare your content. Let's talk about boosting social posts. I know maybe if you're like an ads person in here, you're like, no, don't boost. I don't know why people get so like uppity about boosts. But boosting posts it's perfectly fine. All right. And I think it's one of the best ways to get started with paid advertising because you don't have to go into Facebook or Instagram's ad manager, which can be overwhelming for people in order to boost a post. And you can boost a post at budget, like you could boost a post for $5 and get good results from that. One of the biggest mistakes I see around boosting posts is that people think if they boost a post that's performing poorly organically, that just by putting money behind it, it's going to perform better paid. And it doesn't. All right. So what we do is we look for posts that are doing pretty well. And then we try to boost those. All right. Because in that case, a post that's doing well organically, when you boost it and you put paid traffic behind it, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire. All right. I know. But here's one recommendation I make. I know everybody's hates pop-ups, but I highly recommend that you take a serious look at pop-ups. I know everybody says they hate them, but the truth is when you present relevant content to somebody at the right time, people don't actually mind pop-ups. And we know this because we have data from thousands and thousands and thousands of pop-ups. And we also know this, you probably know this too, people are still using pop-ups on their site. Why? Because they actually work and they're one of the most effective ways to actually build your list. We all know that smart marketing is about making the right offer to the right person at the right time. All right. One of the easiest ways to start promoting your lead magnet is to find the high traffic pages on your website. And you can do this via Google Search Console or Google Analytics and put pop ups or forms on those pages and put them in places that people won't miss. Yes, we don't love, I'm thinking about like a shopping experience I recently had where I'm just trying to learn about the business and then a pop-up appears and it's like, oh, it's kind of annoying in the moment, but I still explore the site. And guess what? I often want that pop-up back after I close it out. We're going to talk more about that here in a second. Be like Joanna here, hated pop-up windows, refused to add them to her site, but then she was introduced to BDOW. All right. So little product placement here for BDOW. One of the great things about BDOW is that it has advanced targeting and display rules. And that means if you serve different types of ideal clients, you can customize your approach based on the client or based on that visitor. All right. So here's what I mean. All right. This is an example from Elizabeth McCravy's site. All right. She serves two different kinds of clients. She serves both designers and people who just need website templates. All right. So she has design education and people who are just buying website templates. She has pop-ups that appear only for designers. All right. Only so when people are visiting the design education pages on our website, she wants to target those visitors with a specific pop-up. With our advanced targeting and display rules in BDOW, you're able to do that. And again, that way you're keeping the message relevant to people and they're not seeing the same message over and over again, especially if it's irrelevant to them. All right. Exit intent pop-ups, one of my favorites. If you don't love pop-ups, exit intent pop-ups are awesome because they won't appear until somebody intends to leave your site. So as they scroll the mouse up to exit the tab or whatever, exit intent pop-up will appear. And these things work. We've seen them be very effective with webinar campaigns. One of our partners used it for a webinar campaign to highlight the bonus that they were providing in the webinar if people stuck around. And guess what? It resulted in hundreds more registrations for that partner. And these are a couple examples of exit intent pop-ups. And you kind of see, I know the screen's probably a little bit small here. You can see how when the cursor goes up, it appears. Here's what I was talking about earlier. We've all been in this situation where maybe we accidentally close a pop-up or we don't need a pop-up at the moment, but then we decide we want to buy something. And then we're like going to incognito mode and trying to get that pop-up back. With BDOW, you can minimize your pop-ups or you have your pop-ups minimized. So basically when somebody selects out of it, it shows up in a tab in the bottom right-hand corner or whatever corner of the website you want it to show up in. On the right-hand side here, you can see this discount code campaign. BDOW integrates with WooCommerce. This is a campaign we have live. I mean, we might even have it live on the Davey and Krista website right now. But I can't tell you how much revenue is generated for us. Actually, I can. It's generated over $50,000 in revenue, and we have the receipts for that too because BDOW will track the revenue generated with discount codes. I know that was a lot. If you have a question that you haven't submitted yet, go ahead and drop that in the chat. I'm going to get to the Q&A section now. I'm going to get to that part of this training. And we'll also go ahead and send the free lead magnet landing page that I promised as well. All right. We also have a giveaway winner that we need to select. So I'm going to check my messages here and see who won the giveaway. While you submit questions, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a minute here to tell you about BDOW and a special offer. Right now, if you sign up for BDOW, you can save 50% on your first year of BDOW. And all you have to do is use the code MAGNET and you'll save 50% on your first year of our annual plus or pro plans. Okay, again, that's MAGNET to save 50% on our annual plus or pro plans. And what you'll get are all the features that I just talked about while sharing about BDOW and the ways that it can help you build your list, our social proof pop-ups, evergreen countdown timers if you're interested in creating like deadline funnels on your site. And I can talk more about that as well if people have questions. You'll get access to all of the advanced display and targeting rules that we have so that you can trigger pop-ups when you want pop-ups triggered and to who you want pop-ups triggered to, especially if you're serving multiple ideal clients. And in addition to that, if you join now, all right, if you join while we're live on this call, we're also going to give you access to our Canva lead magnet template. This is a Davey and Krista lead magnet template. All right, this is a template that you can use to create your very first lead magnet. This is different than the bonus that we're giving you, all right, that show it landing page bonus. You can take this and create your first lead magnet out of it. But that's not all. I begged Krista. I said, Krista, please let me also give away our email revenue roadmap course. So over at Davey and Krista, we have a course on email marketing. All right. It's what we've learned about email marketing over the course of the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. And this is a course that we sell at Davey and Krista for nearly $400. But if you sign up for a BDOW account, we will also give you access to this course. This course includes modules on getting started with email marketing. Sorry, I'm going through this too fast, probably. Getting started with email marketing. It includes more in-depth details about exactly how to create a lead magnet and tutorials on setting those things up in platforms like Flowdesk and Kit. You can recreate, Krista also shows you how we use our BDOW account to generate, she says 38K here, but it's actually over 50K now. And then how to write email welcome sequences. This module alone, I think, is worth the cost of admission, and it's on Meta ads, so Facebook and Instagram ads. Krista actually created a whole module on how we run ads to build our list, and ads is one of the primary drivers of how we've been able to build our list. The great thing about Facebook and Instagram ads is that you can do this on a budget for sure. So just to review before I get to Q&A here, a standalone pop-up tool could cost you nearly $1,000. Deadline funnels, all right? could, if you're using a deadline funnels tool, that likely costs you over $1,000 a year. A social proof tool to create those social proof pop-ups in the bottom left or right hand corner of your site probably costs you over $1,000 a year. And we know because Krista used to use one. Your mailing list platform, probably a few $100s a year annually at least, if not more than that. The lead magnet template that we would give you, $129. The list building course we sell for $400. That's nearly $5,000 worth of bonuses. And if you sign up for BDOW during this call, you can get it all for as low as $114. All right. That's 2% the cost of piecing together all those tools on your own. All right. Just to recap here, the Canva template will be emailed to anyone who joined this class live. I'm sorry, not the Canva template, the Show It landing page bonus. All right. So if Krista hasn't already included details on how to get that, she will. And again, this is for anybody who joins during this live class. We will deliver the access to the course and the template as soon as your trial of BDOW is over. Go ahead, let me know what your questions are. I think I'm going to pause here if I can ever get back to my slides and see. There we go. Get to Q&A. Again, that's using the code MAGNET. All right, so let's see. Let me bring up my questions here. Let's first do the giveaway. The winner of the giveaway is Envision by Lottie. All right, at Envision by Lottie. So I'm going to drop that in the chat real quick. And if you just send us a DM, we'll get you details on your free year of Show It and BDOW. All right, let's go back to my other questions here. All right. Questions. One, check the code. Krista's telling me the code should be active. The biggest mistake people make when signing up is they're not signing up for an annual plus or pro. So we have a couple different plans. The plans need to be plus or pro, the annual versions of those accounts. If you're trying to sign up and there's a technical issue, don't stress about it. Just send me an email. All right. Send me an email at davey@bidow.com and we'll get it sorted for you. Use the code MAGNET. All right, question about PDF guides. How many pages should it be in length that it's of value? So one of the things that I said during the training here was that it doesn't really matter how long like a course or a lead magnet is. I would actually argue that the shorter it can be, the better. Like if you answer my question in fewer words, I am more grateful for that than somebody I have to spend, weeks with, right? It's like if you go to a chiropractor appointment and that chiropractor fixes your back in one session, you're like, I am a fan of this person for life. All right. It's kind of a bummer when you go, right? And you're like, oh, it's going to take 39 sessions to fix this one little knot in your back. However long it takes you to add value, the font lead magnet we have, not particularly long. A lot of the templates we have, not particularly long, but they deliver value. All right. They give people answers to the questions. So can you talk about what platforms people use and how to get past people's spam settings? That's a great question too. For email marketing, we use BDOW and we use that with Kit. All right. And so that's the email marketing platform we use. Another really popular email marketing platform is Flowdesk. All right. Especially if you care, if you're a designer. I know a lot of designers like Flowdesk because you can create aesthetically beautiful campaigns with Flowdesk. The key thing about choosing a platform is doing some research on deliverability first. I will say our experience with ConvertKit, or now Kit, has been positive. All right. They do a good job of, I think, maintaining a high deliverability or high sending reputation or good sending reputation. One of the things that you can do to make sure that your email is actually landing in people's primary inbox. One, follow the directions that your email marketing platform gives you. So if you Google something like deliverability kit, you're going to see help articles on how you can improve your deliverability. And some of these are going to be technical steps, but they're not hard. But if you follow the help article, you're going to be solid. Okay. Beyond that, how you interact with people makes a huge difference as well. What I mean is like encouraging people to reply to your emails, that goes a long way. All right. You want people to reply to your emails because it indicates to email services that you are legit. All right. We never start blasting people with emails when we have a new domain. We always will like warm up our sending domain first by sending to ourselves and other people, getting them to open our emails, moving our emails from like sponsored over to primary. Those sorts of things are good indications to email service providers that your email is legit and people have asked for it, right? You want to keep your complaint rate low. The only reason people complain really is if they try to unsubscribe or they've never subscribed to your emails and they can't. All right. They can't unsubscribe. That's why somebody would complain. So those are a couple tips. Happy to talk a little bit more about those as well. Lead magnets that don't work well now that used to work 5 to 10 years ago. I would say something like ebooks. Like I download a ton of ebooks. I almost never read them. Here's the things, like ebooks can work from a download perspective. Like you can create an ebook that's well downloaded. I think that what you have to monitor is whether people are actually consuming the content of that ebook. All right. And that's why I'm so hot on templates, live trainings. Like right now for this live training, right? Like I can see how many people showed up to this call. All right. I don't, whereas with an ebook, I can see how many people downloaded it. I have no idea how many people read it. All right. There are ways to figure out whether people are taking advantage of an ebook, especially if you're trying to get people on a call or you're trying to get people to purchase. You can maybe use it as an indication of like, oh, if a lot of people who downloaded the ebook also go on to purchase, that's a good ebook. But I just think it's harder. All right. So I think that's a good question though. How to get traffic to a lead magnet. Ads is a great way to get traffic to a lead magnet. Partner content is a great way to get traffic to a lead magnet. If you have friends in the industry, my guess is that they're also trying to build their email list. See how you can collaborate so that you can get in front of their audience and they can get in front of how you can get in front of their audience and they can get in front of your audience. All right. There's win-wins to go around, but working with partners is one of the most effective ways to get in front of another audience. I'll tell you as well, lots of big brands are looking for content, so I'll just use BDOW and Show It as an example. Before we ever had like the relationship with Show It that we do now, we would reach out and ask if we can write guest blog posts, things like that. And you kind of have to prove yourself in order to do those sorts of things. But again, sites are looking for content. All right. This is why like the success story method, is so effective. Easy way to get shout outs and shares from bigger brands. Ads, though, happy to talk a little bit more about that. Maybe Chris has answered some of those questions in chat, but you can start it with Facebook ads for like $5 a day. So that's like giving up your coffee for the day and just putting some money behind a lead magnet. All right. What would be a good? Do you have tips for getting past spam filters? I talked about that. How do I keep someone engaged after the initial sign up? That's great. You have to send emails consistently. All right. If we were talking more about actual email marketing in this live training, like the actual email portion, one of the things I would say as far as biggest mistakes go is that people get people on their list and then they don't email them consistently. You got to send people emails consistently. And if you don't, that increases the likelihood that you're going to end up in their spam mailbox. Like if you start an email list this year, don't email until next year. Solid chance that you don't end up in their primary inbox. And even if you do, they forget who you are. One thing that people always worry about are unsubscribes. I'll tell you this, every time I send an email, we have people unsubscribe. The bigger the email list gets, the more people unsubscribe. It's just how it goes. And that's a good thing, right? Like we don't want people on our list who we're not providing value to. And seasons come and go. And so somebody might be in a season where our content is really valuable. And then now they're no longer in that season. That's not anything wrong with them. That's not anything wrong with us. It's just how it goes. So that's what I would say about like keeping people engaged. Again, just continuing to add value. If you don't know how to do that, ask people. Again, it's great for deliverability, right? Because you're getting that conversation going back and forth via email, but you're also getting an answer to your question. What do you think of interactive lead magnets like quizzes? Love interactive lead magnets like quizzes. I think quizzes can be very effective. I think the key is not to make the quiz too long, But I think quizzes can be a great way to gather data from a subscriber, which is helpful, but also allow you to provide personalized feedback for that person. So like having a quiz that tells people which template is right for them. That delivers value to the subscriber because we're personalizing our advice for them, um, and also sort of draws them in. I feel like one thing I struggle with is not wanting to be inauthentic, going from being an artist page to feeling like I'm trying to get clicks or sales. Yes, I think a lot of that, and I'm right there with you. I think Krista is too, and I think a lot of us are, right? Like we don't want to come off as like an online guru, or at least a typical online guru. But if you believe in your product or service, right? If you can't express that, who is going to express that? So that's one area that where I would encourage you. You have to be willing to talk about yourself, and that's the uncomfortable thing about marketing online. And one of the reasons why doing partnership type stuff with others is helpful because they're talking about you and you're talking about them. But yeah, I think that's just one of like the mindset shifts that you're going to have to make is just being comfortable talking about yourself. It sounds like you're an artist from what you've asked here. And it's like, you're not selling snake oil, you're not selling something that doesn't deliver. I imagine you're selling some sort of art, right? And so, people are probably typically getting what they see. And, that's some piece of beauty. So, again, like be confident in what it is that you're doing and what you're providing. You'll probably address this, but how does this work on our email platform? We have, so in our email marketing course, we have actually tutorials on how to do this. We have a lot of tutorials on the BDOW YouTube channel. And if they're not there, we have tutorials on the Davey and Krista YouTube channel as well. So for your specific marketing platform, it probably has help articles as well. And I know that and there's so many different email marketing platforms out there. I can't speak to all of them. But typically, if you're using BDOW in addition to an email marketing platform, when you set up your pop up, the very last step is to connect the integration. Super simple. Select your integration, Flowdesk, Kit, whatever. There'll be some sort of authentication that has to happen. And then you can, like in the instance of Kit, you could send people to a specific email sequence that you've created in Kit. And you're just selecting that from a dropdown. How do exit intent pop-ups work on mobile? They work in different ways, but oftentimes when people like start scrolling back up on a site, that is one of the reasons. That's one of the ways they might work on mobile. Another way is how often or how long somebody's been idle on a page. That's a great question. And a lot of people choose not to use exit intent pop-ups on mobile as well. That's one of the great things about using a tool like BDOW is you can like if you don't want a pop-up to show on mobile for whatever reason, you can just select you can just not use a pop-up on mobile. All right, lots of questions about the BDOW offer. Let's see. It does look like some people are having issues with the BDOW code. Again, if you send me an email at davey@bdow.com, I can help you. Or if you send an email to help@bdow.com, I believe one of our support pros is actually on this call, Cassandra. She can get you sorted as well, but we'll take care of you. How to use a share key with code with Show It. Krista can answer that question in the chat. But yeah, so some questions about the offer here. Just as a reminder, this is some of the stuff you get when you sign up for BDOW. Discount code campaigns, not something I think I've talked about, but basically we integrate with WooCommerce and allows you to generate unique discount codes from WooCommerce and deliver those to a subscriber. The way that we do it is somebody fills out this form, they see a discount code. We also send their email and that discount code off to our email service provider, which is Kit. And then in a follow-up email, we say something like, hey, so and so, thanks for remember you have that 20% off coupon. And just as a reminder, here's your coupon code. Yep. A/B testing, something else that can do in BDOW, easily create tests. So you can just create variants of pop-ups that you create and test the messaging in there. You get the Canva lead magnet template, the email revenue roadmap course, and then you just have to use the code magnet. All right. And you'll save 50%. You have to choose a annual plan and our plus or pro plan. All right. That will get you to access to all the features in BDOW here. All right. Let's get back to my mouse isn't working. This is very frustrating. Very frustrating. All right. Jen from Tonic, she used this in her cart. She actually targeted people who were checking out with an additional offer, was able to make $4,000 extra additional in a week. So let's get back to Q&A. Yes, the 50% is off, is for only the first year. Does BDOW integrate with Flowdesk and Squarespace? Yes, it will work on both of those platforms. We have a direct integration with Flowdesk. Any website platform, Showit, WordPress, Squarespace, any modern website platform, BDOW should work on. If you search our help documentation, like if you just put in BDOW and Wix, you should come across a help article. There's also help articles available as you go to install your code. We have a great support team. All right. And they'll get back to you quick too. Yes. Is BDOW meant to be used with another email marketing platform like Flowdesk? Yes, it can be. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. We use it in addition to our email marketing platform. We feel like it basically amplifies our existing email marketing platform. Can you use BDOW for quizzes? Not yet. I'm not going to say anything in case my chief technology officer is listening, Colin. All right. But it may be coming soon. All right. I didn't say it. If you didn't hear it here. Okay. I'm going to have to destroy the recording. All right. Ideas for different types of industries. So interior designer asking about ideas for a lead magnet, room refresh checklist. I also, just for like interior designers, especially love to see like remodeled homes in general. And so like, even as a guy who's not interested in like modeling homes or whatever, I love to see kind of the transformation of those things, seeing how you took this room and turned it into that room. Those things I think could be great lead magnets. The ultimate pre-project planning workbook, a luxury for less workbook. All of those are great ideas for an interior designer. A wedding planner, your perfect wedding style quiz like that. The wedding budget blueprint spreadsheet. Those are great ideas for lead magnets for a wedding planner. Again, as far as like lead magnets for wedding pros go, the challenge, of course, is that you're trying to capture people in kind of that I want to get engaged or am getting engaged or I am engaged season. And that can be a relatively short season. One of the things that we always recommended to wedding pros was to hook up with other vendors who are usually booked early in the process. So one of those is like venues. All right. And if you can create partnerships with like venues, those things really help because oftentimes like the venue or the wedding planner or whatnot will recommend other people. Somebody else, since I'm already a happy BDOW user for several months, I would still love to get your sign up bonus. Yes. If you are on an annual plus or pro plan, you're on this call and yeah, you can get it. So just send me an email. All right, send an email to help@bedow.com and say, I already have an annual or plus or pro plan. Can I get the sign up bonus? The answer is yes. If you're right now on a monthly plus or pro plan, if you upgrade to an annual plan, we'll give you the sign up bonus. I am about to migrate my boss's website to Showit. However, it is not in Showit yet. Can I still purchase today and update the website information later? Yes, for sure. All right. That's absolutely. And there's a free trial that will happen first. Like I said, the bonuses will be delivered after the trial. Lead magnet idea for virtual bookkeepers besides spreadsheets or checklists. Yes, that's a good question. I'm thinking about, just like starting to think about end of year finance stuff is triggering for me. So one of the things I'd actually not recommend unless you've had success with it. Maybe I shouldn't say I wouldn't recommend it, but you say like besides spreadsheets. I like that you're already thinking something besides spreadsheets because I don't want spreadsheets. Like if I'm the kind of person that's going to give my finances to somebody else, like the reason I'm doing it is because I don't want to do the spreadsheets. So one of the things that you could focus on are all the ways that you could save somebody money. All right. So if people allow you to do their books, what can they do or what do they get back in return for that? The easiest examples that come to mind are like different accountants. Like a lot of accountants will have content around like, here are things that you can write off as a business, or here are ways that you can pay your kids so that you're starting to build a nest egg for them, and it's content like that where I'm like, well, yeah, that sounds awesome. I don't really know how to do it. So I'm going to hire that accountant. Obviously, that's a little apples and oranges when it comes to talking about bookkeepers, but I'd say things like that. Decoding your numbers series, cash flow confidence challenge, like a 5-day challenge around understanding your cash flow, a peace of mind playbook. All right. The things that people need to do as the year wraps up to, I don't know, have peace of mind, not feel like I do, not in my chest when I start thinking about the end of the year rolling around. Those are all potential ideas. Heather was thinking about a style quiz. I'm a personal clothing stylist, but not sure if this is too broad. I do like that. I don't know who you serve, but I was actually just chatting with two friends of mine and Krista who are more stylish than me, saying like I would just pay you to tell me how I should dress. And so I think one of the things that like I know you can get like your colors done, that sort of thing. Like anything you can do to show people how much better they can look by understanding just a few principles, I think would go a long way. Yes, you're giving some content away. You might feel like you're kind of giving your like special information away about like how you put styles together for people. But at the same time, similar to the SEO example I used earlier, the people who are going to do it themselves are just going to do it themselves. If I hired a stylist, I would get better at picking out my own clothes that longer I worked with that stylist, of course. But the advantage of using a stylist is that I just always know what's in. So I think anything around like, hey, this is what's in this season. I mean, like an analogous thing for that is what Krista's doing right now about she's creating content around what she thinks is going to be the Pantone color of the year. Those are sorts of things that I think people would be interested in. Joanna, any ideas for a lead magnet for a sex coach helping long-term couples to revive desire and reconnect? Oh, these are some good ideas, I think. One, I think any sort of like challenge, reconnection challenge. All right. So like I think this could be a good email campaign. It's like sign up, 5-day challenge, reconnecting with your significant other. And then providing tips in that email sequence. Low, I think it doesn't take a lot to create something like that and pretty easy for people to sign up for and then also consume since it's ending up in their inbox. Rekindling the spark conversation cards, something that Chris and I actually love is not related to sex. Want to share that on the call here. Chris is probably losing her mind. She's like, what is he going to say? Are like these conversation cards and they're like date night cards. It's like, hey, could I have different questions on them just to help like get conversation going during like a date night or time together. I imagine that you could do something with that, that are like printable, or like a digital deck or something like that. So hopefully some of those ideas help as well. I think what's really important, not just for you, but in your case, is really identifying the problem. Like really being able to call out effectively, like, do you feel like this with your spouse? And I think that if people are like, oh, yeah, I feel exactly like that, then they're going to be interested in whatever you have to offer. Family photographer specializing in moms of young ones in front of the camera, helping design custom art, install it so customers don't have to. Love that. Was thinking about some templates. What are your thoughts? Yeah, so some ideas like maybe like an interactive gallery wall designer or some gallery wall starter kit. I don't know if you could do like a room view mock-ups like bundle. I think again, I always come back to challenges on easy stuff to consume, like from camera roll to wall mini email series, like 3 days, something like that. Marie, flower farmer here. Any lead magnet you'd be excited to see about family pick your own flowers event? Thank you. Yes. So like a bloom calendar. First of all, I think like families are always interested in finding stuff like this. So I think one, just the marketing message around whatever it is that you're giving away, like, hey, looking for a way to, not be on screens this weekend, those sorts of things, like calling out that if we had a pick your own flower farm near us, like we would definitely hit that up. We have a pick your own blueberry farm like down the street. It's like a summer staple for us. And it's just a matter of knowing really that it exists. I think for a flower farm, especially if you have stuff that's in season throughout the year, coming up with a a calendar that people could download that would tell them what's in season when. Um, yeah, something like that. I think like pick your own flower event. Obviously, you're trying to get people there as well. I probably have more ideas for you that are like, I don't know, if you were trying to sell flower subscriptions or something. Lead magnets for custom home builder. We build 800,000 to $2 million homes and are in crazy housing market. What does a custom home really cost? So like a transparent budget breakdown. I like that as an idea. I don't know what you mean by crazy housing market. So like I would love to know a little bit more about what the challenge is there. Like, is it a challenging housing market or is it like a booming housing market? I know for a while inventory was down and so it was challenging, yada yada. But if I knew that, maybe I could help craft some better ideas here. I think for building a custom home, one of the biggest things that you could sort of demystify is the cost around it. Like what does it really cost? I think when we built a custom home, that was one of the big questions is like, but how much is it going to cost? And I feel like home builders don't love answering that question, probably for a variety of reasons. But yeah, I think that would be that. And something else that comes to mind for custom homes is timeline as well. And I'm thinking of objections here too. Like, is it going to take a long time to build a custom home? Like, is that something that people struggle with? My guess is around cost, maybe picking a lot, that sort of thing, like where it should be. If it's cost, you could not only demystify the cost of building a custom home, but you could also provide the breakdown of how building a custom home isn't that much more costly than just buying a house, or something. I think that's probably is like, well, I have to make less decisions if I buy a house because it's just like the house comes as it is. Hopefully that's helpful. Lead magnets for an aesthetic med spa. Also, I mean, like med spa, custom home, like if you all need to build like demos for, and like we'd be happy volunteers. All right. All right. The ultimate glow guide. Anti-aging timeline. Love something like this. So again, I don't know aesthetic med spa. I think it could mean a few different things. So I wonder what kind of services that you offer. I think anti-aging is like a hot topic right now, right? I think there's a couple like influencers that come to mind, but like biohacking, I think is a big one. I think like the great thing about that industry is that it's often full of influencers. And so you could take even clips of influencers talking about whatever it is that you provide. It's like I don't know, maybe you have like a sauna at your med spa or whatever, and it's like you could take a clip of Andrew Huberman talking about a sauna and then use it to promote your med spa. There's rules around that, so tread carefully. But I think content around aging is good. Krista might have some better ideas. 5-minute guide to natural looking, I don't know, Botox, things like that. This is a little harder topic for me, I think, as a guy. But the anti-aging one is one that I think really resonates as I become an old man. I feel that way because I pulled something in my back. And as an e-commerce specialized in pet treats, looking for an ebook. Yeah. So one of the things about pet treats, I think, and we've owned dogs. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you'd be the expert, but I imagine like content that always caught my attention was like what pet treats were actually made of. And some of them are like kind of suspect. So like calling those out and talking about, maybe like how yours are made and especially if it's made in a better, more organic way. I think anything around training too, it's like how your how your treat routine could be ruining your training, something like that. The treat training toolkit, I like the sound of that. Treat training toolkit, I like the alliteration. Destination wedding planner. I don't want to do the typical checklist. I'm with you. All right. We were wedding photographers way back. And yes, the checklist is tough. One of the things that we did, like, and this is a destination wedding idea. But for our wedding photography business, like first looks, being like, are you doing your first look wrong? I don't know how we phrased it. It was like first looks versus not a first look. Content around that seemed to do really well. I wonder if there's like content that you can gate similar to that. For destination wedding, it's like giving people maybe the 5 things that make or break a destination wedding. That's it. Like the 5 most overlooked details in destination weddings. Here's what everybody does wrong with their destination wedding, or the inverse of that. Here's the one thing that will make or break your destination wedding idea. All right. What if your tactic is not having a ton of clients, but the right clients that pay a luxury price? That's a great question. All right. So I love transitioning to that real quick. The Here's the thing about lead magnets and understanding, like when we talk about lead magnets, oftentimes the context, and even in this call, the context is, oh, do this lead magnet so you can get like thousands and thousands of people to sign up. That's not the important part, right? I mean, if you're trying to build a business at scale, then yeah, maybe you need thousands of people to sign up for your lead magnet or buy your product or whatever it is. But if you're working with a few select clients, you just need a lead magnet that resonates with those few select clients. And then when you run ads to that lead magnet, you have to realize that you might spend $500 to acquire one client. But if that one client is paying you $10,000, then that math very much makes sense, right? So those are important things to remember. If you're using a lead magnet to book a destination wedding, my guess is that person's probably paying you thousands of dollars. So whereas I want people to sign up for my lead magnet and I want to spend under $10 to get somebody on my list, all right, you might be willing to spend $500 to get somebody on your calendar because if you can book them, it's $10,000 or tens of thousands of dollars or whatever it is. So those are good. I think like if it's not a ton of clients, it's a matter if you're not trying to get a ton of clients, but luxury price clients, thinking about what your lead magnet is too, like ebooks and things like that for busy people. Like your lead magnet might be trying to get somebody on a call to sell them. All right. So it might be more of the case study route and basically showing people how you can get them results, specifically them up front before they purchase. All right, Aaron, hello. I signed up for BDOW last October. All right, issue with the billing. Can't get somebody to respond. Send me an email at davey@bdow.com. I will make sure that somebody gets that issue sorted for you. What about integrating show it website design and also social media and how they connect with each other and both are needed? Targeting mom and pop small service businesses. Yeah, I mean, targeting mom and pop small service businesses, I think not easy to do, but it's not. So I don't mean to say it's easy, but the nice thing about that is like there's plenty of mom and pop shops that they're like, they just don't want to deal with the social media stuff. So, and I think it's very appealing to have some sort of all in one. I think case studies might be the way to go here because you can show if you have one mom and pop shop that you've gotten results for that you can show the next mom and pop shop, that's a very compelling offer. So putting together some case study, how you help scale this mom and pop shop to whatever, and then having people put their email address in or their phone number, whatever you want to get that case study. Liz, I work with wedding pros who feel overwhelmed by behind the scenes side of business and want to outsource the back end so that they can focus on their clients and creative work. Would love any ideas for a lead magnet that would really grab their attention and offer practical advice. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I think the ideas that come to mind are lead magnets along the lines of like the 5 tasks that you should stop doing or you'll never grow your wedding business. Let's see. How wedding pros can, or something like email templates for wedding pros to take control of their inbox. Any templates you can provide wedding pros too, to help them focus on their clients, I think would go a long way. So stuff around their inbox, I imagine that's one of the areas that they feel overwhelmed. Really calling out like, hey, your business is not going to grow if you're doing these 5 things, and that being the download. Case studies there too, I think can really help. Yeah. All right. All right. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop those. Colleen said, list of tasks they can delegate to you. They might not realize all the things you can do. I think that's a big thing too. You know, it's something that was interesting recently that I did. I took a survey, and the survey was asking about, I forget, it was something around email because obviously email marketing is something I'm really interested in. And in the survey, I learned more about the features of the platform that they were ultimately selling. And so it was kind of a ninja way to, basically get my feedback, but then also educate me about the product. This is one thing I love about online quizzes as well. I don't know if you've taken online quizzes like this, but the ones that I find to be most effective are the ones that have questions, but in between the questions, you'll see a slide that's like, did you know wedding planners who outsource their admin make 20% more on average? And then it goes to the next question. So you're kind of educating people along the way. And I think those make for the best, some of the best lead magnets. All right. So as we wrap up here, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. Again, if you use the code MAGNET, all right, you can save 50% on our Plus or Pro annual BDOW plan. If you're having issues with that, send me an email. You can send an email to davey@bdow.com. I would copy help@bdow.com as well, and we'll get that sorted for you. If you are a current user and you're on a monthly plan, you upgrade to the annual plan, then again, I will give you access to the email course. The email course is only available to people who sign up while they're on this training. All right. So something to keep in mind there. So if you are trying to sign up and you're having issues, send us an email now so we can make sure that we get that straight. We have lots of happy BDOW users. One of the things that you should understand about BDOW is that it takes your email marketing to another level because you're able to do things like, for instance, on the Davey and Krista's site, we often want to target people like just new users to our site. So visitors who have never been on our site before, we want to give them a special discount. And we're able to set up that targeting within BDOW very easily. So it's really our targeting and display options that make BDOW powerful, but also the fact you could set up an evergreen campaign. You could set up an evergreen deadline campaign with BDOW. Our countdown timers are very advanced. At the end of a countdown, you can redirect users to another page. You can show an expiration message. You can restart the countdown. You can create fixed date countdowns. So for instance, if you go to the page that Krista probably linked to, I don't know if it's there. Oh, it's not there. I'm going to put it in the chat, but it will summarize the offer I'm talking about now. You'll see that there is a countdown timer there. I'm going to just make sure. Yes, you'll see a countdown timer at the top of that page. And that countdown timer is a fixed date timer. It's counting down to a specific date, but you can create evergreen countdown timers as well. Countdown timers that, are unique to each visitor on your website that create real urgency. And yeah. Our Instagram account is no longer at BDOW Leads. It's at Try BDOW. That needs to be updated. You can learn more about BDOW at BDOW.com. And then you can always reach me at davey@BDOW.com as well. I usually get back to people within 24 hours, 48 hours at the latest. And if you have any issues, you can absolutely email me. And if I can't help you, I'll make sure that I get you to the person who can. It looks like that's all of the questions we have for today. I love talking about this topic. So if you have questions, please let me know. And yeah, I appreciate your time.